Welcome to the greatest college football live stream of all time. I'm your host, Coach Cass, and today, well, right now we only got one other panelist with me. Our first panelist, he's the beast from the east. He is the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club, and he says, "Kids, eat your Flutie flakes." Please welcome to the show the Yankees' #1 fan, Lindsay Coyle.
Hey. Good to see
Hey,
everybody.
how
Glad you could join
Let me
us.
ask you a question. I know you're from the greater New England area.
Yep.
The last time I checked, New York was not in New England.
No.
So, did you hate a family member? Is that why you're a Yankees fan?
I can't tell you. Well, I know why I was a Yankees fan. And my initial reason from when I was a little kid was just as logical as anything else I did as a little kid. I really liked their uniforms. I absolutely loved their away uniforms. Gray, block letters, simple. It was beautiful. And I really dug their logo. As I got older, I realized, and they were always on TV at the time in the 70s because they were one of the teams that everyone was watching. So it was easy to watch them play. And they won all the time. So that was fun. And they had really cool players. And
Hey, it's hard not to be a fan of a winner.
I mean, true. And it was a horrible time to be a Red Sox fan because they couldn't win their way out of a wet paper bag. So, if you just have blind loyalty to a team who never really gave you anything for your emotional investment because they couldn't win to save their lives, rooting for the Yankees was pretty easy. So I rooted for them. I got a lot of flack for it growing up, but it was worth it. Now they're back in the World Series after winning their first AL pennant in 15 years.
There you go. If you can tell right now, it's called what we're doing is called stalling. Until a couple of the other panelists show up. Yes. Draw it out. We are stalling. It's good nobody's watching, so at least the comments haven't kicked off yet. Last week we had like 14 people here. I would almost assume we won't this week.
Well, this must be the Hunter effect. If Hunter's not here, we don't get anyone.
Yeah, well, you got to bring on the talent sometime. Definitely not going to be either one of us.
No, apparently not.
Seen my picks? I mean, you just made your picks in like 32 seconds right before we came on here.
I still have a couple to go too. So
I spent an entire week building my list, and you know what it did last week? It went.
Well,
you ever seen a whirlpool?
I have.
Whirlpool didn't move as fast as my picks did down.
No, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, they were a sack of.
That's a bummer.
But yeah, well, hey, you know what? You can only work up. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
Hey, when you're on the rock bottom, you can only go up. You can't go any lower.
It's no doubt.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I've got the Pittsburgh-Syracuse game on. I just got home probably about 20 actual minutes ago, and Pittsburgh is laying the actual belt to ass to Syracuse right now. I mean, they are beating the shit out of them. Pitt might be the best team in the ACC. Where's Hunter at? Golly, Hunter, get your butt on here. Somebody keeps clicking on and off. They're like,
Are we going to see Jude? Did you know?
What's that?
You know if we're going to see Jude?
Well, he said yesterday that we were going to see him. So
I hope he's back at it.
Me too. All right, Lindsay, you want to run this thing backwards?
However you want to do it. I'm game.
Well, right? I mean, like, normally we do a salute to the service academies. But we're missing two people that we really need for the service academies.
I know.
So why don't we do some conference breakdown?
Sure.
I mean, it's fresh on your brain because you were just looking at it.
I have it right in front of me now, as a matter of fact.
Oh, man. Captain Obvious. You know, on my headstone, I hope somebody scratches in there. Well, I'm not going to be buried. But on my urn, I hope somebody puts on there Captain Obvious.
It's a skill.
Well, it is what it is. All right. Let's start with the American Conference. Am I a little loud tonight? Do I sound a little obnoxiously loud?
No, you sound good.
Or am I at a tolerable level? If to the one person watching, please let me know. Am I a tolerable sound?
That might be me because I have it streaming in my other tab here.
Well, no, but my gosh.
There's that.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Should I put it up on my phone so we have 2 people watching?
We have fun. Where's Bonchi?
I don't know. Uh-oh.
Where's Pat?
Our next. Hey, we got 2 people here. So that means Hunter's
Wow.
done something too.
All right.
All right. Our next panelist hails from the great state of Texas. He's my favorite football player. And he's the pride of the Texas State Bobcats. And he got him a new T-shirt on right now. Please welcome to the show, Hunter. Ahoy.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Did you just get out of the shower?
Where I'm at. No.
Oh. Are you wearing a new shirt?
No, I've had the shirt. I wore it a while ago.
We have 3 people watching now. Is that because you came on, Lindsay's got his on, you got yours on another one, and I've got mine on another one?
Probably.
The way the internet works in here, I can't have anything else on, or else I wouldn't be able to be connected.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and do some conference breakdown to start with. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. We're going to do some conference breakdown. I'm going to wait till Jude gets here, or see if Jude gets here. So, it's a shit fucking sandwich tonight, but we're gonna take a big bite of it. Unlike the Florida State fan who faked eating the dog shit. So, Lindsay, the American Conference. There's a massive game going on in the American Conference this week. All right, we got the number 12 Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the number 24 Naval Academy, the midshipmen. Lindsay, if Navy wins this game, they're a legit contender for the CFP, the College Football Playoff. When has a service academy been a legit contender? The CFP. Do they have it? Do they have it in them? What do you have in this game, Lindsay?
We'd have to go back a ways in our memories to remember when that was. And I agree with you that if Navy were able to do that, it would be a game changer. But I don't think they've got it in them this week because I think Notre Dame's going to be too tough a customer for them. The betting line on this favors Notre Dame by 2 touchdowns and over or under of 51.5. Navy is going to be very competitive, but I don't know if they have what it takes to pull it off. I don't think Notre Dame is going to cover that spread, though. I will look to them to win by no more than 10 points.
All right. All right. And then we have Charlotte at Memphis. Now, Charlotte's been an improving team throughout the year. Do they have anything for the Memphis Tigers?
Not this week. They're just they're not going to have much for them at all, unfortunately. Memphis is going to win this one fairly handily.
Is this a BTA game?
Might be.
Might be Belta. Can we put a Belta ass moniker on this one, possibly?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I don't see why not, because I think Memphis is going to more than cover that spread of 18 points. Look for them to win by 3, maybe 4 touchdowns.
All right. Now at 11 a.m. on ESPN 2 from Datco Stadium in Denton, Texas, the Tulane Green Wave travel to take on the North Texas. I think they're the Screaming Eagles, actually. Do the Screaming Eagles have anything for the Green Wave? There's going to be a lot of green at this game.
There is. North Texas could be called the Green Birds.
I think they're the Screaming Eagles.
But North, I think, is going to be a fairly close game. And I feel pretty good about either team's chances on this one. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if North Texas took the upset and actually won by a field goal or a touchdown. As it is, Tulane's favored by 8 points. But I think North Texas can, in fact, pull this one off.
All right. This game might not be the best game in the world coming up next. Temple at East Carolina. Now, East Carolina has just fired their coach this week. So they have said, we've had enough of our coach. We're moving on. Temple has struggled to find wins throughout the season. So ECU's favored by 7.5. How, I don't know. But what are your thoughts on this one?
I think this would be kind of a messy game. Both teams are in a bit of disarray. It's not going to be well played. It might be frustrating to watch because there's going to be a lot of miscues, some maybe poor route running on the offenses, some sloppy play on the line. I don't think this is going to be terribly exciting, but hey, if you want to laugh or two, it might be one worth checking out. I also don't know how ECU is favored in this one, so I will take Temple for the upset by a touchdown.
You feel like the Keystone Cops music might be playing during this game.
A
like
little
that.
Benny Hill music. Yeah.
Oh, what's going on, JWC Tech? I would text in the chat hi to you, but I'm too lazy right now. Actually, I got another screen open. I'm sorry. I got the comments over here, but I'm working on something else over here. All right.
But Brian Stewart's here too.
I said hi to Brian, but then I toggled over to something else. We're doing conference breakdown.
Right.
I think Hunter's having an actual breakdown right now with his internet.
Oh.
All right. At 2:30 p.m. on the CBS Sports Network from Pratt Whitney Stadium in East Hartford, Connecticut. This is in Lindsay territory here. The Rice Owls travel to take on the Yukon Huskies. Yukon's favored by 6.5,
which shows you just how bad Rice has been doing, and they've earned it. I got to say, they haven't put in the effort to really garner much respect this year so far. I would agree with the line on this one. I think UConn will actually cover that spread and win by, maybe 10 points or so. It's not going to be a runaway, but I would give the edge to the Huskies.
All right. UConn's a solid team this year.
Yeah.
They had a down year last year, kind of an off year last year. They are a solid team. Ken, hi. Thanks for joining us. Lindsay's going to text you hi in the chat right now. He's our official chat watch guy here. All right. And then in the final game in the American Football Conference schedule, the UTSA Roadrunners travel to Tulsa to take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane.
Somehow
this
UTS
is like the battle of the bads. I mean, this could be bad.
It could be, and I would agree that it will. In fact, I'll say it will be. Somehow UTSA is favored to win handily on this one by almost 10 points, which really surprises me. But
have you seen Tulsa play lately? That would answer a lot.
Yeah, well, UTSA is nothing to brag about. I don't think Tulsa has what it takes. So UTSA all the way. They're going to cover that spread, and I'll take the over of the over-under because the defense is going to be weak on both sides.
All right. I like Lindsay's thinking there. This could be a BTA game here, belt to ass. Hunter's about to put belt to ass to his internet, I think. Hunter, do you want to do like telegraph? You want to send like do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do?
Do you know semaphore?
Nope.
He's going to logged off. He could do Morse code with coming on and off his
I don't know. I think he's about to have a meltdown. All right, Lindsay, that's the American Football Conference. We're going to head on over to the Atlantic Coast Conference, or as Jude would say, the All Coast Conference. And happening right now, Lindsay, the Syracuse Orange are taking on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Syracuse is winning this game by Pittsburgh's winning this game by a country mile garage, as Jude would say. This thing is over. It's like 31-0 in the second half.
Not surprising. Pittsburgh had it all over them going into this one. How late are we into the game now? Do you know?
It's into the third quarter. Not end of, but into the third quarter. Pittsburgh is just mollywhopping Syracuse.
They're going to start swapping their starters out pretty soon and have their second stringers get some good field time. So it'll be a good game for that. I don't think they're going to be scoring much more, but probably, another touchdown and a field goal perhaps, because they're going to start cycling players out. So it's clear this one's Pittsburgh all the way.
All righty. Tomorrow night, we got another good game, and you might have some skin in this game. Louisville travels to Boston College at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN 2. This comes from Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. And I know I butchered that, and you constantly correct me on that. Does Boston College have anything for the Cardinals?
I think they were pretty demoralized after last week's game, and it's going to be tough for them to bounce back. I wouldn't consider them one of the more resilient teams in college ball. And Louisville is, I think, better than they are overall. So I would look for Louisville to cover that spread, which is 7.5, and I'll take the over-under, which is 53.5.
All right, we're gonna try this again with Hunter. We'll keep trying until we get it right. If he's in the worst. We love you, son. We see you. If you have to, you can text me your picks if you need to. If it gets that bad.
Do you know sign language?
I don't. But you don't want to
I
have
don't think
broken
that would
sign
help.
language. If you freeze doing the signs, it might not be good. Like. It doesn't do yourself any
It's so
good.
bad right now. I don't know why it's so bad. It was fine last week, but this week it's just been terrible.
All right. Well, let's get through the ACC, and then we'll hop on over to the Big 12 and the SEC, and we'll get as much as we can get.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Hey, look, you're not the reason why the stream is not good. I promise you. The two guys above you, maybe not so much. Lindsay, I kid because I care. I kid because I
will
care.
take the most credit of that. So yes, you're welcome.
All right. So we're going to move into the Saturday schedule since you picked Boston College to win, yes?
No.
No.
They're not going to bounce back.
No.
They got spanked last week, and they're still going to be smarting, so they're going to lose.
All right. You're picking Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'll let the team know that you're not picking them, and you're letting the team down. So
yeah,
just remember that.
Maybe we can use that as some negative motivation.
Yeah. So on my unpreparedness, I have unplugged my computer.
Outstanding.
There we are. We are back. Look, I'm even brighter now. I'm even more better looking. Most bestest looking.
Things keep getting better.
Hunter did finish TBS. He finished it a while back. Ken is a former Marine, Hunter, and he actually grew up in the Triangle, and his dad worked at, I think he worked at Quantico or some, I don't know. Maybe I should shut the fuck up on what I know and what I don't know. I'll let Ken answer that stuff in the chat. But yeah, Ken is a former Marine. You're not currently in the Marines, but you're always a Marine. So former Marine. There we go. Yeah. All righty. Lindsay, after I've stuck my foot in my mouth multiple times, on Saturday at 11 a.m. on the ACC network from Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia, the Hokies host Georgia Tech. Now, I don't know if Georgia Tech's quarterback, Haynes King, is playing. If he's not playing, that's a completely different team. If he's playing, they got a chance. Virginia Tech has looked better than I thought they would, but then they've also looked worse than I thought they would throughout the season. If the Jekyll and Hyde was a team, it'd be Virginia Tech.
It is, and bringing in a team like Georgia Tech to play them is going to keep us guessing all game long. I see a lot of back and forth on this, and I wouldn't expect this game to settle out to well into the fourth quarter. So look for some late scoring from Virginia Tech for them to take the lead and keep it that way. I think they're going to win, but I don't know they're going to cover that spread of 10.5.
All righty. The North Carolina Michael Jordans are traveling to Virginia to take on the Virginia Cavaliers. I guess Michael Jordan might be the most famous thing from North Carolina. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So they should rename the school to the North Carolina Michael Jordans. I mean, like, come on. Air Jordans, maybe? Anyways, North Carolina, that's the only thing they got going for them right now, that Michael Jordan is from the state. The rest of the team is awful. And Virginia, they got their tails kicked last week against Clemson. Does Virginia right the ship this week against North Carolina, or did this game end in a tie?
No, they'll right the ship. It wasn't a surprise they lost last week. This week, though, I do give them the edge, given how bad North Carolina has been. So UVA is going to win this one. They're going to cover the spread of 3.5. Maybe they'll win by even 10 points. I'll take the over, which is at 59.5.
All righty. Now in our next game, talk about just traveling in the world. Wake Forest travels across the country from coast to coast chilling the most here to take on Stanford at 2:30. The only good news about this game is it happens in the middle of the day.
It might be more exciting than you're giving it credit for because it's going to be closely played. And although the quality of play might not be that great, it won't be a boring game, I'll say that. It's going to be tight throughout, expected number of lead changes. Ultimately, Wake Forest should hang on to win. They're going to cover the 3-point spread. And because the defense will be kind of bad on both sides of the ball, look for the over of
I'm saying if
52.5.
you need some legal help, somebody from one of these two schools could probably give you some sound legal advice, don't you think?
Agreed, yes.
All right, that's all I can give. That's all my brain can process right now. It's like, all right, our next game from the Pac-2, Oregon State. I got a good Oregon State joke coming up in the 2-minute warning. Oregon State travels to take on Cal at 3 p.m. on ESPN2. They got Cal to win this game by 10.5. Cal choked on. They choked last week, big time. What do you think is going to happen this week?
Well, lucky for Cal, Oregon State isn't going to be that much of a threat.
Can I be frank on this one? Can I say they choked on a bag of dicks? You know what I mean? Like they were awful. They were shit rotten awful last week. If my parents are watching, I'm sorry. I love you all, but
our vocabularies are our vocabularies.
Hey, look, I am who I am. I can't help it. So yes, there you go.
California has what it takes to win, and I think that given Oregon State's current state of play, they'll win this game. I don't know if they're going to cover the spread though, which is 10.5. So look for California to take it maybe by a touchdown, and I'll take the under of 49.5.
All right. So our next game happens at 6 p.m. on ESPN from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Miami's going to beat Florida State by 150 points in this game because a Florida State fan tried to fake the curse. You know what I mean? We all know what the curse is. I speak about it every week, about the 3-2-1 null, saying that if Florida State lost to Boston College, he'd eat, you know what, out of a red Solo cup. Now, this guy went and faked it, eating it, and now he's not only did you not break the curse, you made the curse worse. So I'm saying Miami by 500,000. I don't know, at least 75 points.
So you're saying they'll cover that spread of 21?
Miami's going to beat them by like every million that's owed to Mike Norvell. They're going to beat them by that many points. Like if they owe him $78 million, they're going to beat him by 78. That should be a goal that Miami has.
I think by halftime you're going to be looking to switch the channel if you're watching this game because it's just not going to be fun to watch. It's going to be so lopsided. You're just going to go, oh, what else is on TV? And you're going to start flipping around to find something else that's more interesting. So, yeah, they'll more than cover that 21-point spread. Take the over of 54.5.
All right. And the nightcap from the ACC, SMU, number 22, SMU travels to Duke to take on the Blue Devils at 7 p.m. on the ACC network from Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. SMU is an 11.5-point favorite. I don't know. Duke hadn't looked terrible.
No, but call me crazy. I don't see an upset in the cards for Duke on this one. SMU has been playing fairly well, all things considered, and they certainly have a better game plan going in than Duke does. So I would look for them to win this one. They'll cover that spread. I'll take the over.
All right. Before we get going too far, as soon as Hunter comes back, let's talk some Merchant Marine Academy football here and the salute to the service academies with Lindsay.
Well, our friends, the Merchant Marine Academy, have had the last couple of weeks have been very good for them. 2 weeks ago, they shut out MIT 21-0. Last week, they handily walked all over Norwich 49-7. I think that next week they're playing Worcester Polytech, which should also be a pretty easy game for them to win. So I think not only will they win next week, I'm going to go ahead and predict that they'll win the week after against Springfield. And as we look toward the end of their season, which is November 16th, they're going to have a handful against the Coast Guard. So we'll wait and see how they play WPI in Springfield, but handily they should beat WPI next week.
Nice. And that's the Merchant Marine Academy. You want to talk about the Coast Guard Academy for a second?
Yeah.
No, they took one on the chin last week against Salve Regina. It was not close. It was a belt ass game. Well, I mean, I guess it was ish close, but Salve Regina is maybe the best team in the conference. I'm gonna throw it out there right now, But I got some notes on the game here, as in my prepared self, and they lost 34-28. So I guess they didn't get beat down, but Salve Regina is a good team. Joey Ehrmantraut, the quarterback for the Coast Guard Academy, passed for 315 yards and a touchdown. And the wide receiver, Matthew Lavalier, I think is how you say his name, had 9 catches for 126 yards. So a good outing by the offense, and the defense did play well. The Bears 3-3. They travel to Norwich. I don't think Norwich has won a game yet this season. They barely scored any points. I'm predicting that the Merchant Marine I'm predicting that the Coast Guard Academy, since Norwich is coming off of a 49-7 loss to Lindsay's team, the Merchant Marine Academy, I'm predicting that the Coast Guard Academy wins 35-7. Modest game. All right, and when Hunter rolls back, we'll cover that. Army's off this week. They get a bye week, and then Air Force. I'm unsure if I need to scroll over to Jude's picks here. Well, not his picks, but his conference. The Mountain West. We'll see if Air Force. I don't know if Air Force is playing this week. I don't remember. Ever since my son and I haven't been able to make our weekly picks yet lately. So as soon as he comes back, Air Force is also idle this week. I bet you that Air Force and Army play very soon. So that is our salute to the Service Academy. And Hunter's going to come on, and I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give Hunter a little bit of special attention because the Naval Academy versus Notre Dame is actually in our ones to watch segment. So when he comes back on, we'll hit his conferences and we'll do ones to watch. Lindsay, give me your 5-star of the week versus your 1-star.
My 5-star this week is Tennessee. I like what they did by beating Alabama, who was ranked far above them at number 7, but they did it handily. And I think that they stepped up when they had to. They took what was going to be a quality opponent, and they left with the win. So congratulations to them.
Hunter, we can't see your face. All right, Lindsay. Hunter gave his 1-star face. Your 1-star.
I can't see it when I talk because I got the camera here, and then you guys.
Oh, you don't want to see
here.
it.
Okay.
It's like bad 70s truck stop porn. You know what I mean? It's just like.
I'm not an aficionado in that era of porn.
Well, I know a guy. I've heard.
It's a real underbite.
Tell him Large Marge sent you.
My 1-star for last week is going to UT and the Longhorns, who, shame on them for walking in ranked number 1 in that game and only putting up 15 points. They should be ashamed of themselves. I hope that that's a wake-up call for them to realize that the momentum they had going in has to be maintained every week. You can't let up on the gas pedal when you got your foot down, and they did, and shame on them. So I look for them to bounce back, though. But in the meantime, they're now down ranked, number 5, where they belong.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll have a good couple of weeks coming up. But last week, poor performance to them. I expected much more out of them.
All right, I'm going to go real quick, and then I'm going to turn over to Hunter. I'm going to turn Hunter loose for a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. My 5-star performer last week was none other than BYU's Jake Retzlaff. He threw a last-second touchdown. I mean last second. It was like the last 12 seconds of the game to help lift BYU over Oklahoma State in what was a fantastic game. If anybody watched that game last Friday night, I mean to tell you, it was unbelievable. And I just got to take my hats off. He threw for 218 yards. BYU's not a passing team. They're a rushing team. So that in mind, they did well. And I think I made a prediction about how many how many turnovers. I think I nailed the turnover rate too on that game. So bring another one up for the coach over here. I'll
There
go
you
ahead and
go.
pop my collar
I just
for
don't think he
myself.
expected BYU to be the one committing the turnovers.
Hey, I told you there would be some turnovers in this game, and was I correct? Bing. All right, there you go. And my 1-star performer, I'm not even going to bring it up. I'm just going to say Florida State. They got blown out by Duke. They've never lost to Duke in the ACC, and now they have a loss. And that's my 5-star V1 star. And our star, Hunter, is going to take over.
All right. Where do you want me to start with?
We'll start with 5-star versus 1-star because I want to get I know what your salute to the service academy is going to be in the ones to watch. So I'd rather get that then.
All right. So for 5-star performance, pretty sure I had out there. Gosh, already forgotten. I just typed it in just to make sure I didn't lose it. But y'all should be able to hear me still. I don't know why everything's going in and out. Curt Cignetti, the coach of Indiana. I mean, the fact that the team they lost Curtis Ford for probably a couple weeks, but they look just phenomenal as a team. They dominated a Nebraska team that even the teams that beat Nebraska, even Illinois, struggled to stop Nebraska's offense. They made Dylan Raiola look like the true freshman that he is, a lot more than Illinois did. Nebraska couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. And whatever Indiana wanted to do on offense, they got. They could have won that game by 70 if they wanted to, but they went into a run-first mode to go and put the game away. And it's really impressive out of Curt Cignetti, the coaching job that he's done, built out of a lot of players out of the area that Indiana's from, with some guys from James Madison and the Eastern Seaboard area, the DMV specifically. But a lot of those guys came from the Midwest, and it kind of goes to show that sometimes to be a really good team, you got to really just recruit your area. And I think that Indiana's done a great job. Curt Cignetti's done just a remarkable job. So for my 1-star, we'll bounce off that. To kind of go off what Lindsay said, I'm going to go with the Texas offense, and specifically Steve Sarkisian. Yes, he's the play caller. He called what in theory were good plays, but they weren't to the strengths of the players, especially against Georgia. And I told Dad that way that I never thought I'd see the day that Pete Kwiatkowski would outcoach Steve Sarkisian, but that was that night. I mean, the Texas defense only gave 240 yards. You go, oh, they gave 30 points. They only gave up one touchdown drive that occurred on the other side of the 50-yard line. Impressive performance by them. They put Texas in position to win that game, and the offense did everything they could to make sure that they didn't. And that's just what it breaks down to.
I want to kind of add on to what you're saying. So when you watch the game, you think that oh, Texas got blown out. They really didn't. Texas got down early, and then they found themselves. And if they have to play Georgia again, I will say this: don't think the game's going to turn out the same because they found out they can play with the big dog, and they got smacked in the mouth early against the big dog, but they found that they can play against the big dog. But that's all I can say.
Like I said, I'm just going to put the onus on Steve Sarkisian as a 1-star performance for the nation's best play caller, as he's been constantly referred to go away from the strengths of the team. Yes, the run game wasn't exactly working, but I think they should have pounded that earlier in the first half. At the very least, you wouldn't have given up as many points off bad turnovers. I mean, and then they should have taken it. There's a couple times where they should have taken the points, I think, and it puts them in a better position to win the game.
What's my rule? What do I always say?
Never
run from points. Yep. Sometimes it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's what you got to do.
And then there was times when they took the ball out of Ewers and Manning's hands, and that I thought they should have left it in there. And I think I should have. What I did see as its weakness is that Arch Manning could exploit Georgia's inability to stop a running quarterback. And I thought that when they put Arch in, they should have let him run more instead of just a scramble. It should have been called runs. But I get what Sark was trying to do. I understand. That's my 1-star performance for the week. I just don't think that he had the team ready to handle the kind of team that they're facing. You're facing a desperate team in Georgia, and now you're that desperate team. So how they handle that from then on is going to define how good a coach Steve Sarkisian is. You got a Vanderbilt team up next who has played some good defense. You got to prove that you can stop it or overcome it. And then who has played some really good offense, especially out of the running quarterback position, you got to prove you can stop it.
All right. So let's get into your conference breakdown real quick. Let's start with the Big 12.
Big 12 is not my conference.
Big
The
12
Sun
is my
Belt is.
conference. I'm sorry. The Sun Belt. I don't even know what I'm doing right now.
Well, the Sun.
I apologize about that, son. It's pretty
It's
bad
all
when
right.
it's my conference.
The
All
Sun
right.
Belt has a game going on right now. Georgia Southern and Old Dominion. Old Dominion is blowing Georgia Southern out, 47-19. Georgia Southern, I think they just scored. Maybe they have the ball, a chance to score again, but it's not nearly enough time left to make a comeback. I guess I'll jump on that for Old Dominion. My dishonorable mention is that Texas State Bobcats for losing to Old Dominion, but now the loss isn't looking so bad. They got this new quarterback in at Old Dominion. He's playing a lot better than the previous rotation, so we'll see how that goes for them. But I'll be honest, I would have picked Georgia Southern to win this game. However, looks like I was wrong. But at 11 a.m., we have Georgia State traveling to App State. I'm going to go with the Mountaineers here. I think that they get back on track. A lot's gone on in that area of the country. I think that they're going to be really emotionally motivated to play this game. It's not really a rivalry in any sort of terms, but I think Georgia State's kind of really fallen off. And I think App State has the better talent and a coach who has won. And this kind of time that the heat's on, right? The Southern Miss fired their coach, like, hey, if you're going to keep your job, you got to win this game. And I think they go out there and get it done. Then 1:30, Southern Miss, who just fired their coach, travels to James Madison. I don't want to predict the score, but it's going to be a lot to a little. Belt to ass, some might say. James Madison's favored by 24 points. I would take that and double it. If they let you tease it open, I don't condone gambling, but I mean I would take the tease open to like 30.
Is this what Brent Musburger's telling you on Cameo?
Hunter
and I have the greatest Christmas present. We've got to try to get my father-in-law. And I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story in the 2-minute warning. Got to stay tuned for the 2-minute warning. But go ahead, Hunter. Finish out the conference real quick.
All right. UL Monroe travels to Mobile, Alabama to take on South Alabama. Now, South Alabama is favored by 7 points. I don't see that at all. UL Monroe might be the best team in the Sun Belt. I'm going with the Warhawks to win by at least 7. This over-under of 45.5, I'll take that. But the Warhawks are winning this game. They are the best team in the Sun Belt right now until proven otherwise. They can run the ball on anybody. They are a really damn good team. So I'm taking the Warhawks in this one against the Jaguars of South Alabama. Finally, at 5 p.m., make sure that's right. Yep, 5 p.m., we got Troy at Arkansas State. Arkansas State should be 1-6, just like Troy is, but of course they got handed a win by the referees and some other BS throughout the season so far. And yes, I will maintain that until, actually I'll just maintain that. I'm going to go with the Red Wolves. Troy looks terrible. Their best quarterback's out for the season. Their second best quarterback, I don't know if he could start on a JV squad in the state of Texas at this point. So, but I'll go with the Red Wolves. My 7.5. They'll probably win by 14 or 15 or 20 points. I mean, they're just going to dominate. That's what I got for the Sun Belt.
All right, let's move on over to the Southeastern Conference, as some would say.
The Southeastern Conference opens up play on Saturday with Oklahoma, who just fired their offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. They also burned the red shirt of their quarterback. This is a tough one to predict in terms of points. Ole Miss is winning the game, just no doubt about it. I'd be very surprised if Oklahoma comes out and is like suddenly offensively better. They still have a bunch of wide receivers are injured. Their offensive line isn't going to suddenly be better. There's a lot of issues with the team right now. You got Jackson Arnold's going to be starting quarterback. We'll see how he plays. But I'm going to go with the Rebs here. This -20 is a lot of points for Oklahoma to lose by. I'm going to go with the Rebs by 14. The Oklahoma defense is still good. They'll still keep up. Arkansas travels to Mississippi State. I'm going to go.
Secretly going to be a really good game here.
This is going to be a good game. Mississippi State's kind of playing they played every team so far close. Eventually, they had to break through, and I think that happens this week. I think Mississippi State breaks through and beats Arkansas. Arkansas has now had, I mean, they got dominated against LSU. I mean, they got crushed. And I think that's going to kind of start creeping in. The really good, they beat Tennessee somehow, and then they've been crushed now by two other teams. And I don't think that it's going to change. Well, they barely lost to Oklahoma State. They got dominated really by A&M. I don't know. I think Mississippi State wins this game. They do some things that I don't think Arkansas is going to stop. They run a veer and shoot offense, so Arkansas has done really well in stopping that. But I just think that there's something to what Mississippi State's doing. There's something to Michael Van Buren and the president of Stark Vegas there will get it done. They really need to work that angle or the running Dutchman. I'm cool with either.
That's
but
he is
even though it's not Dutch, but his last name is.
Man, he's going to be really good for years to come. Wow.
I mean, he plays a lot like the last great Mississippi State quarterback.
Yeah, he's faster. He's so much faster.
He's not as polished a passer, though.
No, but he's going to get there.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the nightcap in the SEC at 6:45. This Auburn at Kentucky, because the other three games are in the ones to watch.
Yeah, I mean, these are two bad teams. Kentucky has played poorly all season. They've had moments of almost greatness, but really they have one win that's worth looking at when they dominated Ole Miss somehow. And everything else has just been a myriad of terrible. They haven't looked good against teams they should beat. They've made a ton of mistakes. The team doesn't look focused, except for one or two games. I imagine that since Kentucky, I believe they have a bye week following this game. Let me verify that I'm right. Nope, they have Tennessee next week. I feel like Kentucky and Mark Stoops, they're kind of teetering on, eligibility. This is a game they have to win. Auburn's kind of really out on it at this point, and Auburn's coach knows he can't get fired because they have to maintain that incredible recruiting class that's totally going to stay committed when the only product you've shown them for the last 3 years is not good. But then again,
when you continue to hire Gus Malzahn, you're going to get Gus Malzahn.
But at least Gus Malzahn could keep leads, except for against Iowa State.
And he never paid for with a company card. So
on the company phone.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'm going to go with the Wildcats. It's in Lexington. Auburn has just lost too many games. Like a game that a Mark Stoops coach team would win is one where the other team's quarterback's going to make a ton of mistakes, which Peyton Thorne and Hank Brown and insert SEC frat name here. Mike Sigma Alpha Epsilon here. He's going to throw 27 interceptions, and Kentucky's going to dominate the turnover battle and win the game, probably 10-3. I mean, it's going to be an awful game. I'm going to go with the Wildcats.
All right, and that's Hunter, and that's the Southeastern Conference. We're going to move over to the Conference of the USA, the Conference of Champions. And the only reason they have a champion is because they play a championship game. And, well, for the second week in a row, Conference USA is already done for the week. They played all their games. Sam Houston State beat Florida International in a thrilling 10-7 game. And then in the nightcap, UTEP lost to Louisiana Tech 14-10. So some thrilling games. Then last night, Liberty goes down to Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State gets their first Division I. Am I right on that one? Division I FBS win versus Liberty. Kennesaw State.
First Division I FBS victory as an FBS team. I don't know that necessarily. They might have beaten an FBS team as an FCS team, but
never.
This is their first FBS win.
This is their first FBS win. Kennesaw State. And then in the nightcap, Middle Tennessee got absolutely hammered by Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State had 492 yards or 429 yards of running offense from last night. So Jacksonville State, nobody wants to play right now. They are really good. I look for them to get bowl eligible in a couple more weeks. I think they're 4-3 right now. They're going to have to, suck it up and play some tougher games, but that's a good team. A Rich Rod coach team is always going to be a really good coach team. And that's the Conference of Champions, Conference USA. And the only reason they're champions is because they have to have one. All right. Let's roll over to the Big 12 here. And in the early game for the Big 12 at 2:30 on ESPN, BYU travels to Orlando to take on UCF. UCF's actually favored in this game. BYU is going to smash the shit out of UCF. UCF's not going to be able to run the ball against BYU, and BYU can absolutely make you pay for everything you do. And I watched UCF last week choke away a game. They should have won to Iowa State, so I give UCF no chance in this game. BYU wins. Take the over. Oklahoma State travels to Baylor at 2:30 as well. Baylor got a massive win against Tech. I think Baylor continues to win this week. I think they beat Oklahoma State, and I think they beat them handily. 7 points isn't enough. Sawyer Robertson played tremendously well. The Baylor defense is aggressive. I don't really like Baylor's offense led by Jake Spavital. It's not. It doesn't flow well with me. It looks forced. So I don't like that, but Baylor as a team, they're good talent there. I picked Baylor to win. Texas Tech is at TCU at 2:30 as well on Fox. I don't see Tech losing to TCU. I think Tech wins this game. I think wrong team's favored here at AM&G Carter Stadium. They took one on the chin last week against Baylor. I think they rebound this week. I think they come out pretty tough, but they're not going to contend for the Big 12 championship. Along with West Virginia and Arizona, this game right here, you're playing to play. West Virginia has to win this game. Neil Brown is, if he didn't win this game, he might not make it back to West Virginia as the coach. They're traveling across the country. The hardest thing to do in sports is go from east to west. It's always easier to go from west to east. This is gonna be hard. Even though it's at 6:00, it's still gonna be a hard game for the Mountaineers. Then another 6:00 game from TDECU Stadium in Houston, Texas. The Utah Utes take on the Houston Cougars. There's a lot of red here. Utah's season has gone down the tank along with their quarterback. It's not really what they wanted. Their offensive coordinator resigned this week. I see them probably coming out and being run the ball, pass the ball when you need to, run the ball some more. This game's going to go by pretty quick. Houston's offense is not good, but they're going to be there. I would look for Utah to win probably by that 3.5 points. That's probably a safe bet, just with that, how bad it is. All right, a good rivalry game. We all like a good rivalry game, don't we? We have Bleeding Kansas. You got to go into history to understand what Bleeding Kansas is. But Kansas versus
the
Kansas
Sunflower Showdown.
Oh, Bleeding Kansas is Kansas, Missouri. God, I always get that one screwed up. All right, the Sunflower Showdown. Kansas is not good. They did get a win last week. They won solidly. It's the best they've looked. It's what they should have looked like the whole season, right? And I'm not gonna pick them this week though. Every time I picked them, they've lost. K-State's looked okay with Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson plays like you could see like greatness whenever he plays, but then you can also he got a little Brett Favre in him. You know what I mean? Like he can get a little wild with the football. You know, he's not necessarily texting pictures of his dork to people, but you know, like he can play a little too loose sometimes. And I think that's something as he matures, he gets a little older, plays another season, he'll be a lot better on. He is really fast. He's a good passer. I think he needs to focus on being a better pocket passer and less of a runner. And I think that he'll improve from there. But he's a good player. I look for Kansas State to easily win against Kansas. I would say take the 10. That's probably a good one. And then in the nightcap here, do not sleep on this game. Did we pick this in the ones to watch?
Well, 1 second. For the Sunflower Showdown here,
Yeah,
K-State has beaten Kansas 15 straight times. It's the longest win streak in the series. I would take the Wildcats to continue the streak.
That's why we got this guy. That's why this guy right here is numero uno on the channel. That's what he's called the Ringer. We bring him on when we want to win. My guy's better. I can promise you. My guy is better.
Win by 10. So I don't know.
My guy is better. With any of those other college football podcast shows, my guy is better. Any day. Right, Lindsay? Our guy. Lindsay, our guy. Yes. Our guy is better, right?
Yep.
There we go. We're gonna ride. We're gonna ride with that one. All right, that's gonna wrap it up because Colorado and Cincinnati are in the ones to watch. Can you believe that Cincinnati made the ones to watch?
If you told me pre-season that Colorado and Cincinnati would both be 5-2,
I think Cincinnati's 4-3.
No, Cincinnati has 2 losses. I'm almost short.
They're both
5-2. If both teams were 5-2, and either one went away from a bowl game at playing each other. There's no way.
They're not just one win away from a bowl game. They could play for the Big 12 championship.
Cincinnati
this is an elimination
has
game.
One conference loss, I believe. Colorado has one conference loss. I mean, these teams have to keep alive in the Big 12 championship race. So we'll see.
This could be for the Big 12 championship. I mean, they are playing championship level football. You would have never heard that come out of my face at the beginning of last year.
Certainly not about Colorado or Cincinnati.
Or Cincinnati.
To be honest, I picked my first coach to be fired in the Big 12 was picked preseason to be
Jeff Satterfield.
Scott Satterfield.
Scott Satterfield. I think his brother's Jeff, and he offensive coordinator somewhere.
Steve Satterfield.
Whatever. Hey,
and he's the Marcus Satterfield is the offensive coordinator at Nebraska.
All right. And that is our conference breakdown. If Jude wants to throw a short up later and throw his conference picks in there or put them in the chat, look for Jude's. If he pops up here pretty soon, we'll jump back in. But till then, I'm not going to pick games unless Jude's here to pick his games. So it's part about being the crew. You know what I mean?
I can almost promise you, though, that Jude's one-star performer will be Lincoln Riley.
Oh, man. Hey, come on. He's already got enough going on. We don't need to make it worse. All right.
I mean, no wonder Jude hasn't been feeling well. He's been watching USC football.
Lindsay, Jude's going to be a little unhappy with us, but Hunter might be on something there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I can't call him wrong,
Somehow I've lost our ones to watch deal. All right. Here we go. The ones to watch, brought to you by Credit One. No, I'm kidding. That's not real. Don't. Credit One did not sponsor this segment, but if they're interested in doing it,
I mean, we won't
please
say
contact Lindsay at Coil Tools. He's the one that handles all the business.
Brought to you by your Chevrolet legs.
Yeah.
You need to go anywhere.
Even
all terrain, use your Chevrolet legs.
Yep, that's what we got. Lindsay, are you good with that? I'm like the master motivator. I'm not like the X's and O's guy.
Not the what's the archetypes in CFP 25? They got master motivator. They got tactician.
I'm a master motivator. I'm not the X's and O's guy.
Nothing wrong
I
with
get
that.
people to do great things, but I'm not great. All right. With that said, Lindsay, our ones to watch. We're gonna blast through this like incredibly fast and try to get this stream in the bag here pretty quick. Number 10 is SMU and Duke. You've already picked this game because you were so awesome. We picked it already. Lindsay's leaning on the ponies. He said the ponies lay the smack down. And I'm gonna say, Lindsay, you're 100% wrong. Ponies go down. Duke wins by 3. Hunter, what do you got on this game?
I got SMU winning this game. You just kind of look at both teams. SMU is playing incredible football right now for what I expected them to be. Duke's played well, but SMU is definitely a lot better of a team. They do a lot of what Duke struggle. Like Duke, you watch Duke against Florida State, for example. They struggle to stop the run. Against Georgia Tech, they struggle to stop the run. SMU is one of the best rushing teams in the countly.
That's what they do. They like it, but I'm still rolling with the.
So I'm going to go with the Stangs. Probably by about 7, maybe 10. I don't see it being a big win.
There's a quarterback from Austin, margin. Texas, playing for Pitt right now. Nate Yarnell. Where did he go to school? He go in the North Austin schools?
I bet he went to Regents.
All right. Well, that brings us to our number 9 game of the week. Syracuse at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is handily beating down Syracuse. I mean, this is close. 38-6 right now. I picked Pittsburgh last week. Lindsay picked Pittsburgh. Let's pick the pickles. How does that go? Peter Piper.
Just
all right. I picked Pittsburgh. Lindsay picked Pittsburgh. Hunter picked Pittsburgh. Anyway, y'all agree, right?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's going to win this game. All right.
Well, I picked them before this game too.
Yeah. Pittsburgh is really good. Pat Narduzzi has secured his job. He might be the coach of Pittsburgh forever. But
no, he went to Lake Travis, by the way.
Lake Travis. Was he a backup there?
He may have been the starter for a couple. He's been in college for a little while. I
You know
won't
who?
dive too deep into that.
I've got to. I'll tell you what. We're gonna bring on one of these days. I'm gonna bring on one of the greatest watchers of quarterback play. This guy is phenomenal, and he
Peyton
can speak
Manning?
and sign. Huh?
Peyton
No.
Manning?
This guy's really good. I'm gonna bring on my good buddy George one of these days. That'd be a good one, wouldn't it, Hunter? George knows a
Yeah.
lot about football. He is really, really. You know how sharp Hunter is. George is really sharp with that, especially with high school play too. So George would be a fun one to bring on. All right, at number 8, the number 3 Penn State Nittany Lions traveled to Camp Randall to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Hunter, what do you have in this game?
Wisconsin will come out, and for the first 2 quarters will look competitive, but Penn State's going to pull away. They've kind of done it all season. While Penn State's kind of lived off of some close wins, they're a significantly more talented team, and their ability to run the ball out of multiple positions and multiple formations will beat Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's offense is going to make too many mistakes. Penn State's defense is a defense you can't really make mistakes against, whether or not their 2 best pass rushers disappear, which, that's a running joke between us.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions. They're going to blow out Wisconsin by 17.
All right. I'm going to say Penn State's going to win this game because of 3 things. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play great defense. And Drew Aller's going to hit the most obscene plays whenever they need them. And they'll win by about 34-7. Wisconsin's not going to have anything for this game. And the 2 players that we're talking about are Chop Robinson and
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter. And somehow they're like magicians. They can disappear in the game whenever they
Call them
really need to
Houdini. When they play Michigan and Ohio State, call them Houdini.
Yeah, but I say that Wisconsin's got too many things going the wrong way for them with the quarterback being out. With that said, Lindsay, what's your opinion on this game?
I can't imagine a scenario in which Wisconsin could even hope to be competitive toward the end of this game. And I think that's an extremely conservative 6.5 point spread for Penn State. Look for them to do far better than that. I'm going to look for them to win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Wisconsin doesn't stand a chance.
All right, our number 7 game of the week, Cincinnati at Colorado. Hunter alluded to it. Lindsay, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think?
I really have to eat my words about what I said regarding Colorado at the start of this year. They're playing far better than I thought they would. They're doing better across the board in all facets of the game than I gave them credit for. And I think this week they're going to continue their winning ways, and I see them beating Cincinnati by at least a touchdown. So they're going to cover that spread and then some.
All right. I hate picking against Colorado because it turned out well for me, but I'm gonna bring up one factor in the game, and that's the thump factor. And Cincinnati brings the thump factor because when they hit, they hit. They are a physical team. They put the fit in physical. I mean, they are physical. They rough people up. They go and they play smash mouth defense. The defense hits hard. And it's not a team I would want to play right now. Colorado, not necessarily a finesse team this year. They have played a lot better. They've made some massive adjustments after that loss to Nebraska. Even though they lost to Kansas State, they were in that game late. So, but I think the difference in this game is Cincinnati's going to bring the thump. And I don't know that Colorado's going to be able to put up a bunch of points. Look for this to be an incredibly close game. The winner could be either team. I really don't know who to pick. If I'm going to pick, I'm going to say if Colorado wins, they win by 1. If Cincinnati wins, they win by 1. It's a 1-point game in either direction in my mind. I know Colorado's favored by 6.5, but the Cincy defense is not to be messed with. They are a legit defense. Hunter, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to go with Bearcats. Cincinnati's defense has played probably some of the best defense, if not the best defense in the Big 12. They made a lot of teams not just one-dimensional, but no-dimensional. It's been very hard for teams to throw the ball on them. It's been almost impossible for teams to run the ball on them. I think that they're going to do a good job of preventing the run or stopping the run, really, and getting after Shedeur Sanders. And I think they're going to play a lot like how Nebraska played them. They're going to play a lot of tight coverage on Travis Hunter. They're going to expect Shedeur to force the ball there and go to pick it off. I think that Cincinnati's going to come around with at least 2 interceptions. I think it's still going to be a close game. Don't get me wrong, just because Colorado's offense is so explosive, it eventually will break the dam, as it were. But Cincinnati's offense itself is also extremely explosive. Brandon Sorsby is throwing for over 400 yards a couple times. And what beat Cincinnati both times has been running the ball, and that's just not something Colorado does. And Cincinnati has been really good against the run against everyone else except for those two teams. Pittsburgh just had Eli Holstein's a really good runner himself. And for the game against Tech, a little bit of refereeisms there kind of helped out the Red Raiders. So I'm going to go with the Bearcats. I'm going to call it by 4. They're going to win, 34-31, Bearcats.
All right, we have a treat for us coming up here in the desert coming up this week. Our number 6 game of the week is the number 17 Boise State Broncos travel to UNLV to take on the other Rebs, the running Rebs from UNLV. I mean to tell you, this game right here, this got something to it. There's going to be a lot of run the football on this one. This game's got a ton of implications involved in it, too. Heisman Trophy candidate involved in it. A guy that might break an all-time record that nobody thought would ever fall might be in this game. A team that is trying to play for a CFP spot. A team that's also trying to play for a CFP spot in UNLV. Like, this game has so much going on for it, and we are so blessed because it happens tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. And I promise you, my butt will be glued to the TV. I'm going to go vote tomorrow after I get off work, and then I'm going to bring my butt home, and I'm going to go and cook a meal, and I'm going to eat a meal. I'm going to watch some ground and pound, some desert swarm going on out in the desert. I am so excited for this game. Boise State's favored by 3.5. But, man, you cannot count out UNLV. Lindsay, what do you think?
How can you watch the game if your butt is glued to the TV?
Hey, I got eyeballs in places you didn't know.
Wow. You're
Sounds
a man
like a
with a
Family Guy
difference.
cutaway gag.
Huh?
Sounds like a Family Guy cutaway gag. Like, Lois, I can't watch TV. I glue my butt to the television.
This will be a really good smash mouth game of football. And I love it when two teams come in with something to prove. Both have that going for them, and they're going to hit the gas early and never let up. It's going to be nice and close, which I really enjoy. This will be one of those games that is absolutely worth your time to watch, maybe bounce back and forth between this and game 1 of the World Series. But
we know what Lindsay could be watching. The only guy from Boston that cheers for the Yankees that lives in Texas now. Well, no wonder you had to move. Not surprised now.
Oh, you do what you got to do. I made it out alive, is all I can say. And through it all, Boise State is poised to take this one, and I think they will. They will cover that spread of 3.5. Look for them to win late. And I'll take the over of the over-under, which is 64.5.
All right, Hunter. I have a feeling what you're going to say here. Go ahead and hit me with it. Nothing. Hunter, can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
He cannot. Oh my
Dang
God,
it!
this is blowing me off.
We're building some good momentum. Oh, there he is.
Sorry, like I said, the internet just is not good here.
All right, Boise State, UNLV, pick a winner.
Damn, you cut out. Give me a second.
I'll pick the winner for you.
He looks like he's taking Boise State.
I don't think he is. I think he's going to take. No, I think he's going to pick UNLV in this game. Let me see here. Boise State, UNLV. Oh, no, he took Boise State. Boise State to win. Ashton Genty. He also says Ashton Genty's going to break Barry Sanders' record, too. So.
Oh.
I didn't say that. I said.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I put words in his mouth. Excuse me. Once again, hold on, Lindsay.
But I did say I would say that Ashton Genty is going to continue his streak of 200-plus yard games in this one. UNLV has a good defense, but not good enough to stop the best running back in the country, and who right now should be the Heisman Trophy frontrunner by a wide margin He's going to rush for over 200 yards. I hope he rushes for over 300 because he's got to get a few more yards in place and catch back up so he can catch Barry Sanders in time. Because if you're a fan of college football, you want to see records broken. Even if you're an Oklahoma State fan through and through, grew up watching Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders and how you didn't win a national championship with that backfield, well, look to the quarterback.
Mike Gundy.
Look to the defense, really. And also, you didn't even beat Oklahoma with those three guys. Anyway, I'm going to go with the Broncos. Ashton Jeanty's going to run for over 200 yards, a couple touchdowns. It's going to be a lot of running. There's probably over 500 yards rushing in this game, but I'm going with the Broncos.
All right. It's hard to pick against Boise State and Ashton Jeanty. They do a lot of things right, but if they take the ball out of the running back's hands and they stick it in the quarterback's hands, UNLV is going to win this game. And the offensive coordinator for UNLV is a guy named Brennan Marion. He's going to be a high-level OC next year somewhere else, and then he's going to move on to be a head coach somewhere else, and he's going to have explosive teams. He's going to bring in top-level players. He's going to be the difference in this game if Boise State takes the ball out of Ashton Jeanty's hands. Because if you let Brendan Marion go and pick plays against you, he will pick you apart with explosive, dynamic plays. The guy understands what an explosive, dynamic play can do in a game. This is what he does. He took a guy when their quarterback said, "I'm leaving because I'm not getting my $100,000." He went and they got Haj Malik Williams, who comes from Campbell. He's a Camel, so he's got me cheering for him. And this guy he's playing high-level college football right now. I would say this: Ashton Jeanty gets under 200 yards, UNLV wins this game. I'm putting it out there. I'm throwing it out there. That's how good UNLV is. With that said, we're moving on to our number 5 game of the week, and that's the number 21 Missouri Tigers at the number 15 Alabama Crimson Tide. And I'm going to start off with this one. And this is two really bad teams right here. Neither one of these teams I really feel like should be ranked at this moment because they've played some really uninspired, poor played football. Alabama doesn't run the football whatsoever. They throw the ball way too much. They rely on their quarterback to hit flat passes that he can't hit. He's only looking to throw the deep shot constantly. Missouri's missing something, and I'm going to be real frank about this. They're missing balls. They don't play tough. They play really passive. They look to try to edge beat you. They don't look to beat you up down the middle of the field. Ultimately, I think Alabama wins this game because they just have the better talent on the field. Missouri is my definite pretender right now. They are nowhere close to being – they shouldn't even be ranked right now. There's so many better teams that aren't ranked that would go and they would beat Missouri into the pulp. So that's my pick on this game. Lindsay, what's your thoughts on this one?
Alabama has nothing but trouble lately. And given how poorly they did against Tennessee, I don't think they're going to have what it takes to win this week, even though they're heavily favored. I will actually pick Missouri for the upset on this one to win by a field goal or a touchdown. So Alabama's limping right now a little bit. They're not going to bounce back. And meanwhile, Missouri's out with something to prove, and they're going to take it out on Alabama.
All right, Hunter.
When you say Missouri's missing something, I don't necessarily go say as far as they're not tough. Well, they're missing a real leader on that team. Brady Cook, decent quarterback. But last year, what made Missouri so good last year is they could run the ball. And it was through this guy. His name was Cody Schrader. He was a weird walk-on situation. He was one of the best running backs in D2, and then he came to Missouri. Great running back. Unfortunately, not really making a career in the NFL just because his speed isn't there. But his toughness, I mean, that's what Missouri is lacking, is a tough running back that can go and make that wide zone offense work. They just don't have it. None of their running backs want to go cut up field into contact. And it really just kills their offense completely. Luther Burden, it's easy to clamp down and double cover Luther Burden and Theo Weiss when, when your running backs don't do anything, i.e. Texas against Georgia. Similar, not necessarily toughness, just similar. I'm going to go with Alabama. I mean, they've lived way too much off the Jalen Milroe prayer pass to Ryan Williams, but Missouri doesn't have the talent to stop it. They couldn't stop A&M from doing it. I doubt they have the ability to stop Alabama from doing it. And when that doesn't work, Milroe will just take off and run. I think Alabama's going to crush Missouri. Missouri doesn't inspire me in any sort of situation this year. They've looked bad against good teams. They've gotten blown out horribly. They barely beat a terrible Auburn team. I'm going to go with tied by a lot. Call it 42-14 tied.
All right. Our number 4 game of the week is the number 5 Texas Longhorns traveling to the number 25 Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, the Commodores have like an 8-3 record versus Texas, but the last time they played was in 1928. So it's really hard to say anything about records whenever certain things were happening in the world. We were just coming out of a world war. Suffrage was going on. There's some other stuff going on. We're not even going to mention because it's kind of rude. So I like to any records that happened before. Really, I'll get into more depth at another time. But there's you can throw that record out the door for all I care. Vanderbilt's a good team. They shouldn't be overlooked. Texas doesn't need to overlook anybody. I think Lindsey kind of said that in his statement that hopefully they learned from last week. I think Texas will rebound. They kind of do everything that Vanderbilt does. They kind of stop that all really well. They play really good. I would look for them to try to make a statement game in this one. I'm not going to give a score to say that Texas will look good. Vanderbilt will come out and give it a good effort, but I'm picking the Longhorns. Hunter's not going to pick this game at all, but what he'll say is the same thing. He gave a synopsis on them. And do you have anything to add, Hunter?
It's going to come down to quarterback play and what the defenses allow from both teams, right? Whether or not Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning's the guy slinging passes by the time it's the fourth quarter. For Texas, it's going to come down to how they play. The run game should be there. We'll see. But it's going to come down to who's slinging passes for the Horns. And it's going to come down to how Texas handles Diego Pavia and what he does in the option run game. I would say that's going to be your hinge point, how the game goes.
Yeah, and I'll say one final thing on Texas. Last week, if you watched, Quinn Ewers didn't look great. His mechanics didn't look great, and the reason is he's not able to rotate over on his throw. That may be something that he's working through right now from his injury. But if you've ever suffered a core injury, sometimes your rotation, using your hips to throw the ball, is effective. And you could tell in that game he just wasn't 100%. He was probably in the 60 to 70% range. So.
Well, as a track coach that I had explained one time, your hips have a lot of power, and so do your abs. But your obliques have to carry a lot of that energy through them up to your upper body and down through the same time. When you have an injury in that oblique, it makes it very hard to mentally push past and do that again. So you just have to find a way to get them through that. And that's why you have bad feet situations and why yours is looking kind of like 2022 Quinn, not 2023 Quinn. We'll see what changes. I do think, though, if you're Texas and if it doesn't look like it's going to change, as hard as it's going to be, you're going to have to look your starting quarterback in the face and say, hey, the bench is over there and you have to put Arch in. If you're down at the half, I don't think you can I don't think you can't afford another loss, especially against Vanderbilt, no matter what they've been.
All right, Lindsey, give me some shining light here. Hunter has doomed and gloomed us here.
No, I think that's some very interesting insights because it gives you plenty to watch in addition to the play on the field. And that is what's the game behind the game on this one. Texas does have something to prove. They do need to rebound on this one. I think they will, but I like Hunter's analysis on that. It'd be interesting to watch the quarterback situation ongoing. And honestly, with the way Arch Manning has been playing, I would not mind seeing him cycled in if it looks like Ewers can't quite cut it.
All right, that brings us to our number 3 game of the week. And this brings me great joy because I don't feel like I'm going to have a loser on this game. I got number 12 Notre Dame traveling to the Naval Academy, number 24. Now Lindsey's already picked Notre Dame to win handily. This game's actually happening in East Rutherford, New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. So it's kind of a ish neutral site game, but I hate picking against Notre Dame, and I really hate picking against Notre Dame against service academies. But service academies rough up Notre Dame. And when they're good, they play close games. When they're bad, they don't play close games. Last year wasn't a great game for Notre Dame or for Navy at Notre Dame when they played in Ireland. This year, I'm leaning Notre Dame to win, but just barely. Hunter, thoughts? Let me put this out there. I'm going to throw this out there. Blake Horvath leads Navy to a win. Does his name creep into Heisman contender status?
I think it should. That's not anything against. So my take on the game, you look at how Notre Dame lost, and when they have struggles, it's because the other team's ability to run the ball. And Navy has been very good at running the ball. And something that beat Notre Dame was the outside zone against NIU. They struggle to stop the outside zone. And while Navy doesn't run an outside zone offense, they run a true triple offense. Outside zone is replicated through the midline option, where the quarterback pulls the ball from the fullback, takes it outside, forces the defensive back to make a choice. And when the defensive back chooses wrong and picks the quarterback, he pitches it out to a B-back, or I think they call them swing backs in Drew Cronick's offense, and he takes the ball to the end zone, essentially, because of how you have to play the option offense. And so, and Navy's pretty experienced with playing a running quarterback like Riley Leonard because they have to see it every single day in practice. Blake Horvath has the ability to hit the pass. Notre Dame's going to be missing their best defender in Benjamin Morrison. It's very unfortunate he stopped for the season. I really like what Navy can do. It's going to be a high-scoring game, in all honesty, but I'm going to go with the midshipmen, 42-35.
Hey, you roll 47. I don't think I've ever seen 47 scored in a game, but
I think it's going to be 42-35. I really do. I think that what they do is going to be very hard because last year wasn't a very good game, but Navy did have some ability to move the ball. They just really failed at it when it mattered most. But the year before, you look at how they played against that team, they scored a lot of points. And when Navy sticks to the true triple against Notre Dame, it's an exciting game. I'm going to go, and also with Notre Dame missing Benjamin Morrison on the outside, you have an inexperienced corner trying to make the right read on the option. That's never a recipe for success.
I look forward to it. It's going to be a great game.
But
All
I'm
right,
going to
our
go
number 2 game of the week is number 20 Illinois traveling to Oregon. Number 1 Oregon. Now, does Oregon live up to the hype, or does another number 1 fall this week?
Hunter. Has he already picked this game?
No, I'm going to go with you, Hunter.
All right.
Sorry, you first.
So, I mean, I think that this is kind of a game that Brett Bielema looks towards. Oregon hasn't been number 1 since 2012. I do think they win. Dylan Gabriel was a great quarterback. However, I think Illinois gives them fits. It's going to be a close game throughout, but I do like Oregon to win 35-28. The Ducks are going to win because Lang's got them focused, but it's a bad year to be number 1, apparently. I think that the only team that's going to be number 1 are going to be win the number 1's not going to win the national championship this year until they're number 1 at the end of the season after they hoist the trophy.
All right, Lindsay, your thoughts on this game?
I don't know if there's much of a doubt that Oregon will win, but I don't know if they have what it takes to retain that number 1 ranking. I would look for them to win, not cover the spread, and get knocked back a few pegs in the rankings.
I'm going to say Oregon's going to win this game. It's going to be ugly because Brett Bielema plays ugly, sloppy football. Well, he makes you play that because he runs the ball and he plays good defense. I mean, it falls into the building blocks of success. And in football, you have to do 3 things really, really well in football. You have to be able to run, you have to be able to tackle, and you have to be able to score points, right? You have to be able, the building blocks of football are blocking, tackling, conditioning, right? And Illinois can do that, right? They play all facets of the game well. They play offense well. They play defense well. They play special teams well. They don't put up a lot of points, but that's not their offense. They keep games close because they also control the time of possession. Time of possession is such a key factor. Oregon needs to be moving down the field constantly, right? They no matter who the coach is, who the quarterback is, they've got to move the ball down the field at a rapid pace. Now, when they don't have the ball in their hands, they're going to get cold. This is going to lead to sloppy play. I think Oregon wins just because they have better Jimmies and Joes, but Illinois keeps it interesting. And with that said, that brings us to our number 1 game of the week. And it's got to have some kind of title for it because this has to be some kind of rivalry. A&M beat LSU 2018, and they made championship rings for the damn thing.
The commemorative Cup Bowl, you know?
Yeah, and then LSU came out the next year, and they could have beat them by 100. I mean, they legitimately could have beat A&M by 100 the next year.
Technically, it's called the Bayou Bowl since the Houston Houston Bayou connects ish to the Louisiana. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'll say this. LSU is not the same LSU team that played at the beginning of the year. They are playing a physical brand of football as well. Now they make a lot of mistakes still, but man, they play tough. This is gonna be a tough game. A&M's got a really good defense. They play solid offense. They run the ball. They play good defense. It's the key to success. Lindsay, do you think that A&M's got enough to take LSU down, or do the Bayou Bengals beat down the Aggies from Texas?
I think LSU is riding a nice wave going into this game. I would look for them to win, not by much, but I think they can pull it out by 7 to 10 points. And it's not for lack of trying on A&M's part, because the Aggies are playing very well. Look for there to be a lot of back and forth. I think this will be a lot of hard contact, well-played game, low penalties, but ultimately LSU will prevail.
All right, Hunter, thoughts?
I mean, there's a couple things to look for in this game. One is I'm going to call it the make money matchup, right? Nick Scoreton is going to be going up against Will Campbell a lot. Nick Scoreton's the pass rusher for A&M, who is rocketed up draft boards. Will Campbell is right now probably the number one left tackle prospect in the draft, even though he might play guard in the NFL. That's a little bit of analysis there that doesn't need to be talked about. So really, it's going to this matchup could define, who makes more money in the draft, Nick Scoreton or Will Campbell, just because of who wins that matchup. I do like Will Campbell to win the matchup. I think that good teams have done a good job of taking Scoreton away. I think LSU is one of those teams. My analysis on the game, Bo Davis is the LSU defensive line coach and and Brent Baker's the LSU full-on defensive coordinator. They're going to attack the run game of A&M and try to take it away. And they're going to play them a lot like how they played Ole Miss. They're going to hit Connor Wigman a lot. They're going to hit him a ton. It's going to be a high-scoring game, don't get me wrong, but every time Wigman sits back to pass or takes off to run, he's going to get hit. He may gain yards, but he's going to take punishment. And it's going to force them to really figure out how they're going to play without him. I like LSU in this one. Garrett Nussmeier has the ability to hit a touchdown pass at any point in the game. All those wide receivers can get open. LSU's got a great wide receiver core because it's just Louisiana. You shake a tree and a Division I FBS All-Star wide receiver falls from
NFL All-Pro just drops into your hands. It's like they fall from heaven.
We found this 3-star. His name's Justin Jefferson. He's only going to end up being one of the best wide receivers.
I don't know what's in the water in Louisiana, but we need to pump it this way because all they do is they just shit talent. So,
but I'm going to go with the Tigers. Call it 49-42, 49-45 Tigers.
All right. I don't think that many points are scored. I'm going to go with the Ags 28-24. Boom goes the dynamite. And that is going to wrap up the majority of the show. We're going to get to the 2-minute warning. I'm going to go first, then Hunter, and then Lindsay, because I have a feeling something's going to happen on Lindsay's end. So, 2-minute warning starting now.
Why would you think that?
No, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. It's like one of those deals. On my contenders and pretenders, I think a contender is number 2 Georgia after they're winning 30-15 versus Texas. Throws them into contender status. I think my pretender, I said it earlier, is number 15 Alabama. You can't win they can't win the state of Tennessee. They literally have lost 2 games in the state of Tennessee. Hopefully they don't have to play any more games in the state of Tennessee for them. And good luck. And my game of the week was in Lindsay's conference, and that's UTSA at Tulsa. Man, if a game really inspires me to not want to ever watch it, that would be it.
Hey, you can get a ticket for as low as $2 to that game.
Yeah, I still don't. You'd have to pay me to go watch that thing. Hunter, give me your 2-minute warning, son.
Well, my contender, you kind of took it from me, is the Dogs. Talked about before, quasi Georgia fan, almost went there for college. Anyway, they came out and they did what they need. They came out and did what they needed to do against Texas. They looked good. Beck, rough, but the run game was there. Really, that was the Georgia defense I've been looking for all year that hasn't been there. Suddenly, it shows up in the middle of Austin when I really did wish it hadn't. But of course,
please.
Anytime. But like I said during the game, at some point it's always gonna be good. You have the 3 best defensive minds in college football all all in one place. Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann, and Will Muschamp are just phenomenal. And when they get all together and they really put their effort into it, this is what you get.
Coach Boom's one of my favorite guys of all time. So
I still maintain he should be the defensive coordinator at Texas. Of course, Pete Kwiatkowski kind of changed my mind the other night. Pretenders. I'm going to go with Liberty. 19 game regular season winning streak. Banished, evaporated. They were dominated whistle to whistle by a team who rushed the field twice for approval points. The Kennesaw State Owls, man. What a way to win their first game. But Liberty, you lost to a team who got their first win against you. And you were supposed to win the Conference USA, go undefeated, make the playoff, prove that your school that totally hasn't bought its football team is any good. So, Liberty, congratulations. You won't be going to the playoff. Even if you win every other game by 70, you will not be number 12.
Liberty, what happened? Hey, that happened. I guarantee you he put that out there.
If anybody can give me James Draws' number, I will pay him all of $5 to say that.
All right, before we let Lindsay go on this 2-minute warning, I'm going to tell you all about my father-in-law and Brett Musburger. My father-in-law, Hunter's grandfather, hates Brett Musburger with an undying passion. So we got the bright idea. What we're going to do is there's this thing called Cameo where you can go get your favorite personality from years past, and you pay them a little money, and they'll send a personalized message to you. So what we're going to do for my father-in-law was pay Brett Musburger to tell him that Chris Sims was a better quarterback than Major Applewhite. And wish my father-in-law a Merry Christmas. That is.
I will pay an obscene amount of money to make this happen.
We are going to do it. We're going to get Brett Musburger to send a personalized message to my father-in-law via Cameo. So, Boyd, if you're watching, Merry Christmas.
That's a great idea.
I tell you the 2-minute warning. All right. When I say hate, if Brett Musburger was walking across the street, my father-in-law wouldn't slow his Prius down. You know what I mean?
Oh, sorry. I almost forgot my bold prediction in game of the week.
Oh, bold
prediction. The number one team in the country, come the playoff, will not win the national championship. The national championship will be hoisted by a team not ranked number one before the game. And then for my game of the week, Temple at East Carolina. Temple has looked a little bit better throughout the season. I like Stan Drayton a lot. This is not to rag on Stan Drayton. I do like him a lot as a coach. But East Carolina just fired their coach. Temple hasn't looked very good. I don't predict a good game at all.
All right. And without further ado, the man of the hour, Lindsay. Can we say MF and Coil? Can we say MF and Coil?
Sure.
Motherfucking Coil. Here we go, Lindsay.
But first, a question.
Answers.
Why don't lobsters like to share?
Why is that?
Because they're shellfish.
Hold on a second. I got something for you. Right on cue.
All right, there, perfect.
Right on.
All right, my game of the week will be Nebraska at Ohio State. This is going to be one of these lopsided games, which is not going to be any fun to watch. It's over before it begins. Ohio State's going in the heavy favorite. They're favored by over 3 touchdowns. They'll get that and then some. So Nebraska's just basically the sacrificial lamb for them this week. My pretenders and contenders. For the pretenders, I have Boston College. They're limping along right now. They got it handed to them pretty good last week. They're going to struggle, I think, from here on out for the rest of the season. So they'll have their wins every now and then, but I think essentially they are where they are at this point in the season to stay. And my contenders, I like what Oregon's been doing. They are ranked number 1. I think they're going to have difficulty this week. I said earlier they're going to get knocked down a peg or two, but still, they're going to be in the top 5, and they're always going to be there contending with the best teams in college football. My bold prediction begins with a bit of history, and then we'll see how that goes into the prediction. In the early 1800s, the Arapaho Indians were one of the Plains Indians that were one of the nomadic tribes that would pass through what would become Wyoming. And they had an area where they would often spend some time that was sacred to them, where they would hold a lot of their religious ceremonies, celebrate births, and mourn deaths. On October 26, 1824, they were displaced permanently by white settlers who took over the sacred grounds upon which was built what would become War Memorial Stadium in Laramie, Wyoming, where Wyoming plays football. This Saturday will be the 200-year anniversary of that permanent displacement. The game will start without a hitch, and it will go along just fine. But then at halftime, strange things begin to happen. At first, no one takes too much notice, but as the third quarter begins, there are what could be described as disturbances in the stadium. The scoreboard starts to flicker. The lights start to crackle and pop. Strange, unexplainable happenings occur at the concession stand. And then the field itself, the very playing surface, begins to undulate. And then from out of the playing surface itself comes ghostly hands that climb out of the turf, and full apparitions appear who start to levitate and float above the playing surface, because the souls that were buried in the Indian burial ground beneath the stadium come to life on its 200th anniversary, as was foretold by the tribal shaman back then, but no one paid much attention to him. But here they are ruining the day. The fans are starting to lose their minds. The players are in shock. The staff on the sidelines does not know what to do with themselves. Things start to become chaotic, as it looks like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the ghosts come out of the ark and start flying around and they turn all ugly and evil. That kind of thing starts to happen. And then all hell breaks loose when, if you saw the movie The Ring, remember that soggy bitch that crawls out of the TV? Ghosts start to climb out of the Jumbotron onto the field, where they start to possess people in the stands, some of the staff and players. People are in a panic. It's pandemonium. But in the stands is a fairly young and up-and-coming Irish Catholic priest named Father Seamus O'Houlihan. He had been studying demonic possession and exorcism. To say he has been waiting for this very day would be an understatement. He is going out of his mind with a guilty delight that what he has been hoping and praying for years has finally happened. He brought with him a fanny pack. In the fanny pack was holy water, communion wafers, and a cross. Now you're thinking, how did he possibly get that past security at the gate? Because when he tried to go into the game, he presented his ticket, and the staff at the gate said, "Oh, excuse me, Father, we need to check your fanny pack. What do you have in there?" He goes, "Oh, what I have in here is me holy water and me communion wafers and some crosses and me Lucky Charms." And the guy at the gate said, "Well, we can't allow the Lucky Charms because you have to buy food at the concession stand, but we'll allow you the other items." He says, "Oh, very good then. Good day to you. God be with you." And the priest goes in and he takes his seat in the stands and the game begins. So now he's busting out the fanny pack and he's stoked because he gets to use all his knowledge and the equipment and tools he brought with him to thwart this large-scale demonic possession. So he starts spraying holy water and yelling like he was in the end of the movie The Exorcist. He says, "The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you." Spraying holy water he's hucking communion wafers at all the fans. But the problem with that is the ghosts all stop and they look at him and they go, "We're not Catholic. We don't care." And they keep going on with their possession and tearing the place up. And meanwhile, the priest now is mortified because he felt for sure this was going to be the thing that he could do to save the day. But nope, the ghosts just thumb their nose at him, and he leaves dejected, feeling powerless to help. And he's bummed because he doesn't get refund on his ticket. Believe it or not, the game actually resumes and continues once things settle down a bit. But what we find is that the Wyoming quarterback, Spencer Petras, is playing phenomenally. He's passing for big chunks of yardage. He's going downfield and hitting his mark every time. When he runs the ball, he's tearing up 10, 20, 30 yards at a time. He is scrambling the pocket unlike anyone has ever seen. And the commentators even mentioned, wow, he's playing like a man possessed because, well, he is. And that's my bold prediction.
And that's Lindsay Coyle, folks. And stay tuned every week for Lindsay's 2-minute warning, where Lindsay makes bold predictions that almost always come true.
Strangely, it's true.
Strange it is, I know.
Yeah.
Just ask the folks from, where was that? South Carolina. That was.
South Carolina, yeah. It's true.
South Carolina. Strange things were happening that day. And with that said, that's going to wrap the show. I'm going to let everybody say their goodbyes. We're going to start with the man of the hour, Lindsay Coyle.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching. We appreciate you in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell your friends. We enjoy doing this for you. And remember, you can't spell college football without the letter C.
Hunter.
As always, go Navy. Beat Notre Dame. Go Horns. Eat up Cats.
All righty. I want to thank everybody for showing up. All the great fans that watch us today. Adventures with Ken, JWC Tech, Brian. What's Brian's last name? I've drawn a blank here. Brian Stewart. How can I forget? And of course, Lindsay for the chat, Hunter for the analysis, Lindsay also for the wonderful bold prediction. And finally, I'd like to thank everyone else who's going to watch this in the future. Remember, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching.